The opposition United Workers' Party continues to demand answers from the Philippe administration about the details of the MOU signed with Global Ports Holding. While the opposition does not disapprove of the expansion of the island's cruise sector, it is, however, not in agreement with the direction which the current administration proposes to take if it seals the deal with GPH. Among the proposed plans, as outlined by the government, is a new dock at Soufriere. Current opposition senator and former Soufriere MP Herod Stanislas observes that while major plans have been announced for the western town, no consultations have been had with stakeholders. There are many matters regarding these plans which need to be made clear to the Soufriere people, he says.
You look at the fishermen in Soufriere. The Soufriere Bay is a fishing priority area. What becomes of that? What was the consultation with the fishers in Soufriere? Where are they going to moor their boats in the Barons Drive area? The water taxi operators, was there any consultation with them? If you look at Soufriere again, the jetties are managed, operated by the Soufriere Foundation, and they collect jetty fees daily. Annually, the fees collected amounts to over $300,000. You have the dock wardens, you have security, and so on. If Global Port is to take over the Soufriere port, the docks, what becomes of those employees? What becomes of that revenue for the foundation, which all of it goes into the development, the programs, and so on of the town of Soufriere? So there are many, many unanswered questions. There are vendors on the waterfront. There are vendors who are established at concession booths at the Hummingbird Beach Park. Is the Hummingbird Beach Park going to be part of this development? What happens to the vendors? What happens to the establishments there? The Old Trafford complex. What happens to the Old Trafford complex? Are they going to reclaim land in Soufriere? Have they carried out any studies as to the depth of the water in Soufriere, the current?
The opposition has proposed developing a cruise port in the south to accommodate Oasis-class ships, as opposed to the SLP administration's plans to expand the Castries port to receive these vessels. This, says the opposition, would extend benefits of the cruise sector to southern residents. Former Tourism Minister Dominic Fede has questioned whether due diligence has been done by the P administration about the implications of GPH managing the island's cruise ports. The Prime Minister's Press Secretary Monty Lewis, during a local talk show, disclosed that as payment for the $47 million injection into the island's ports, GPH would receive the head tax in return. This has raised questions about the possibility of this tax increasing and deterring cruise liners from coming to the island.
There clearly hasn't been enough consultation. There's been mixed reactions from the cruise industry as it pertains to this, as they have reacted to other agreements with other Caribbean governments. And so if we think of the fact, you look at history, you have to ask yourself, why did the government of Barbados pull out of an agreement with Global Ports? What are the numbers like in Antigua, another country that has had an agreement with Global Ports? And are cruise lines going to Port Nassau when they go to the Bahamas, or are they avoiding Port Nassau and are going to the outer islands of the Bahamas in an effort to divert higher cost?
With all these questions looming, the opposition has called on the SLP administration for answers. The manner in which it is going about this development proposal, says the opposition, goes contrary to the SLP's slogan, putting the people first.
It was very disappointing to hear that the president of the Vendors Association is crying out for some level of discussion with them. This is so disappointing. This is sad. This is arrogant. This is really unfortunate.
You have to ask yourselves as well. This was an agreement, an MOU which was signed, and a press statement, a press release was made 3 days after it was signed from the office of the Prime Minister. There was no media invitation. You would have expected the Labour Party to have a grand affair, a $47 million project. All the media houses, everybody would have been invited for the signing of this agreement. It was only 3 days after a press statement was released from the office of the Prime Minister with a few pictures and the statement. What is the secrecy? What is the secrecy in this MOU? So we are calling on the government to make this MOU a public document.
Prime Minister Philippe Pierre has said that the island's ports have not been sold and that the government intends to enter into a private-public partnership with GPH. The deal on the table, according to GPH, would see the island's cruise ports being managed by them for 30 years with the possibility of a 10-year extension. From what is known under the terms of the MOU, both parties have entered into an exclusive period during which GPH and the government of Saint Lucia will continue to carry out extensive due diligence. Both parties are hoping to sign an agreement by the first half of 2023.